Hello, my name is Kristen and this is Kristen Craves Books. So I am here with a bit of a long book haul. It was my birthday on June 1st and people know that the ultimate gift for me is gift cards to bookstores. So my birthday was actually a release day, so that was so much fun to be able to use those gift cards and then do curbside pickup to pick up some new releases. And then there's some other things I've been collecting from used bookstores and things like that. But I did get my first COVID vaccine yesterday. My arm, it just hurts a little bit to lift up, but nothing serious. Other than that, I'm completely fine. So if you see me like struggling to hold up the books, that is why, but we'll just dig right into this. So the first one was actually a birthday present, and it's actually so fun. This is something so original. I don't have anything like this, and if you follow my channel, you know that I have a Pride and Prejudice collection, and this is an edition I've never seen before. It's actually a manga. So I'll show you some of the artwork in here. It is so cool. I'm gonna I think this weekend I will probably just sit down and read this. I think that this is such a great idea, and I'm curious if they have done other Jane Austen or classics in this manga style. But I just love this. This is such a great gift idea and a beautiful book to add to my Pride and Prejudice collection. And then I don't know if you'll be able to see behind me, but I do have my Claire Fuller collection here. She is one of my favorite authors, and her new book, Unsettled Ground, just came out, and this was actually longlisted for the Women's Prize. It might have been shortlisted as well, I can't remember. I think it was. And there's something about her writing that just really gets to me. She writes really flawed but memorable characters, great atmosphere, great settings. And I know that this book follows adult siblings who are very dependent on their mother, and then their mother passes away and they're left to their own devices, not being able to take care of themselves. And I've heard that it is very heartbreaking, and I really want to get to this one before the Women's Prize winner is announced. This is honestly one that I don't know much about. I was just recommended it a few times, and I'm trying to really get into more fantasy, and this one involves dragons, and I was instantly drawn to it. And it is Fireborne by Rosaria Munda, and on the back it says, "Today we will rise. Annie and Lee were only children when the revolution changed their world, giving everyone a chance to test into the governing class of dragon riders." So it's about riding dragons. That seems really fun. I think this is only a duology, and I've been hearing some really wonderful things about it. And just look at this cover. I really would like to get into more fantasy around dragons, so this looks like a good place to start. Speaking of fantasy that has been recommended to me, this was recommended to me by Kristen at Kristen is Fully Booked. I believe she's read Fireborn as well and loved it, so I'm just trusting her on these ones. But the first one is Crown of Feathers by Nikki Predo, and honestly, this was a cover buy for me, and just trusting Kristen as a fantasy lover. And I love the start of this one. It says, "I had a sister once. In a world ruled by fierce warrior queens, a grand empire was built upon the backs of phoenix riders. Legendary warriors are soared through the sky on wings of fire, until a war between two sisters ripped it all apart." So I love books about sisters. I didn't really realize that sisters were at the center of this, but that makes me want to read this even more. So this one's about dragon riders. This one's about phoenix riders. So much fun. Definitely want to get to both of those this summer. And then I found the sequel for a good price, and I believe the third one comes out in the summertime. And this one is Heart of Flames, the sequel to the Crown of Feathers. But look how big this is. Huge. But I'm hoping I love that one, because honestly these covers are stunning. I love the premise of this, and I really do trust Kristen's opinion, and it'd be fun to be able to read the third one right when it comes out. Now here's one. I haven't read the author's debut yet, and it's embarrassing. I've had it on my shelves for ages. It's a book I know I'm gonna love. It is a Pride and Prejudice retelling. So this one here is Hana Khan Carries On by Uzma Jalaluddin, and her first one was Aisha at Last, and that was pretty popular. But I've been hearing really great things about this one. Unfortunately mine came with a tear here, but that's no big deal. And this is said to be kind of inspired by You've Got Mail, which I really love. I love that whole premise of competing bookstores, competing restaurants. It's a competing restaurant in this case, which I actually really am drawn to. If there's food in any kind of rom-com romance, I'm here for it. So this just sounds brilliant. I do want to read Aisha at Last first, and then I will pick this one up. But Really excited about this. Next is one that I did buy with a gift card on my birthday because it came out that day and I heard so many great things early on. People were loving the arcs that they received of this, and that is For the Wolf by Hana Witton, and this is a Little Red Riding Hood retelling, which you could probably tell that by the stunning cover here. And again, I think this involves sisters, and the opening says, his eyes arc away from her to the waiting winter wood beyond their ring of cleared ground. I warned you before, Red. None of the stories here have happy endings. Yep, I'm into that. Is it a romance? Is a richly imagined debut in a sweeping tale of love, legends, and the secrets that hide beyond the trees. So I just have a feeling this is going to be really atmospheric. I have read one Little Red Riding Hood retelling before by Christina Henry, and it wasn't my favorite, but I do love the idea of that story being retold, and this is a series. It says it's book 1, so looking forward to that. This might be more of a fall read for me. And then HTC Frenzy actually sent me this next arc, and it was such a lovely surprise, and that is Where the Rhythm Takes You by Sarah Daws, and this is actually a first love, second chance romance kind of story. It's a YA contemporary novel, and from what I know, this is actually inspired by Persuasion by Jane Austen, which is just really fun because you don't get a lot of Persuasion retellings. It's always Pride and Prejudice, which you know, obviously I have that manga. I adore Pride and Prejudice, but it's nice to see more of her work being retold. So I have a feeling this is going to be a really amazing summer read, and one I would like to get to sometime in June. Another one that I want to read during the summertime because I just love romances in the summer, and this is one of my most anticipated books of the year, and it's Accidentally Engaged by Farrah Heron. And as I said, I love any book that involves food, and actually my favorite romance trope is fake dating, and that has both. And we're following a main character who is not looking for love, and her parents are always trying to set her up, and she ends up in a fake dating situation with her neighbor who her parents are kind of pushing on her, and they pretend to be engaged in order for her to compete in a cooking show. And I think sourdough plays a huge role in here. I've heard it's a lot about our main character really finding herself, which I always really appreciate in romance, and I cannot wait to read this by the pool or just sitting on my deck. It's going to be such a cute, fun read for me, and I highly anticipate it. These next two are a little different for me, but I've been really in the mood to try cozy mysteries, and I do want to read Arsenic and Adobo. I just haven't picked that one up yet, but I saw these, and this is A Deadly Inside Scoop by Abby Collette, and this is gotta be one of the cutest covers ever. And I also picked up the sequel, and it's called A Game of Cones. How fun is that? Can't you just see yourself reading these by the pool or on the beach? These just scream summertime to me, and I'm so in the mood for these. And it's actually the beginning of a pretty long series, I think. It's called the Ice Cream Parlor Mystery Series. So I know that this one follows our main character whose family owns a struggling ice creamery, and she's taken over the business, and I think on the first day that they open, she does find a body outside of the restaurant in the snow. Why she's opening an ice cream parlor in the snow, I'm not sure, but her family, this person that is found murdered, is a rival of her family, and her father is implicated in the murder, so she goes on to find who the real killer is. And look at, I have the perfect bookmark for it. So yep, I'll be getting to those this summer for sure. The next one is one that I know is such a booktube darling. Everybody on booktube loves this, so I think I will as well. It's The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss, and this is that book that everybody talks about and I know I'm gonna love, that has a bunch of daughters of famous classic characters who have realized that their fathers are using them for experiments. So Mary Jekyll is our main character, and then Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson help them in this. Edward Hyde is in here, so I think that this is going to be a really fun series. I know that so many people adore it. I'm actually listening to this one on audiobook right now. I will finish it soon because it's just so fantastic, and it is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think everybody has this on their radar, and it is a story of a family that takes place over the course of one evening at a party in Malibu, and it's just so dramatic, so fun, so captivating. It's Taylor Jenkins Reid, and it's brilliant. Then I have two more, and I've read both of them. So the first one is The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He. How to talk about this book? I think it's best to go into this one knowing as little as possible. It is worth noting that the first half of this, you're going to be confused. You just kind of have to accept that. I think that is what Joan He wants you to feel. And then things all come together and you just realize how brilliant she is. So we're following two sisters. One is trapped on an island. I'm going to show you actually the end pages in here because they're so beautiful. So the one sister is trapped on this island in this cottage, and the other is in this utopian world that hovers above Earth and is not affected by climate change and everything that the human population has done to the world. And the world is falling apart basically, but these two sisters are trying to find each other, and it's so beautifully written. Genius. I would love to talk to Joan Hebe and figure out how her mind works, because this honestly blew my mind. It is so good. And then the last one is the first book I read in June, and it is Pumpkin by Julie Murphy. This is the third book in the Dumpling series by her, but you can read these as standalones. You don't have to read them all, and this one's actually my favorite and the one that I would recommend the most. But it is fun to read the other ones because those characters do come into play here, and we get to know their stories because this is the final book, so we get some closure on them as well. But this book follows Waylon, who is a young gay teen in this small town, and he loves a drag competition show that's a lot like RuPaul's Drag Race, but he recognizes the problems with that, and then he slowly finds that maybe he's into doing drag himself. And then he is nominated for prom queen, and it's as a joke, and he decides that he's not going to let the bullies win, that he is going to go through with this and win prom queen on his own right. And it's really a sweet story. I love his relationship with his sister, with his sister's girlfriend, with his grandma, with the love interest. It is a romance. It's very sweet, very supportive and respectful, and I just thought that this was an absolute delight. So that is it. Those are all the books that I've hauled lately. It is quite a few, but I'm looking forward to reading them all. So let me know if you've read any of these, if you have thoughts on any of them, what's the last book you purchased. Thanks again for your time. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.